Today in our gospel, we get a sense of the gathering of the early Christians. Jesus calls the 12, and there are others who then come along, bringing something of their own resources, their own gifts, their own skills. And we do the same as well. We bring our resources, we bring our skills, we bring our gifts to gather together as a community. We don't do faith alone. It's one of the very common reminders that happen throughout the Gospels, is it's not just about us and God. We do it together. And that's why we come together to worship. That's the story of the 12. That's the story of others. Here we're told certain women who obviously had some struggles in their own life are gathered together with the apostles and with Jesus, and they journey together. They share a common life. And it's a beautiful thing. And we do the same. This is what we do right up until today. Today we honour two saints who knew each other, who journeyed with each other. They were friends with each other in the 3rd century, during a time of great persecution in the life of the church. Both of them were martyred. Cyprian had been previously a lawyer, quite an intelligent man, and he then became the Bishop of Carthage, which is in present-day Tunisia, in northern Africa. At that time, Carthage was one of the great centres of the world. After Rome, Carthage was the next most significant city. And he becomes a person who'd been previously a lawyer, a great man of great intelligence, becomes a Christian, then becomes a priest, and they make him a bishop, the bishop of this town. One of his friends was Cornelius. Cornelius was perhaps not so intellectually minded, and he eventually becomes the Bishop of Rome, but relies upon Cyprian. And when you look at this period in history from a theological perspective, yes, people are looking to see what Cornelius has to say, but Cyprian, we have even today, his writings are still recorded. He has little encouragements in relation to who Jesus Christ is, as to what the Eucharist is, as to what prayer is. And this is coming from Cyprian, even though he's not the Bishop of Rome. He's sort of almost someone who's that voice in the ear of the Pope, sort of encouraging his friend to be courageous in the midst of persecution. Cornelius was eventually taken from Rome and was killed just outside of Rome. He was martyred for the faith, and he was buried back in Rome a few years after, and that's where he's still there for memorial today. So we think of Cornelius as a pope who relied upon others around him. And I think Jesus probably relied upon others as well. He had 12, and then he had others who came, and it was sort of that little bit of a voice in his ear to encourage him, to give him guidance. And that's what we do with each other too. We don't do it alone. We need each other in charity to encourage each other, to support each other, to say, maybe this is what God's saying. We can't really say to each other what God is saying, but we can guide and we say, maybe this is what God's saying to you. And so Cyprian and Cornelius had that relationship. We can have that relationship with each other, trying to discern what God's calling us to do each and every day. St. Cornelius and St. Cyprian,